Good morning, Awaken Takers. I am back. Apologies for missing the Thursday show. I was a little bit under the weather, completely lost my voice, and literally, I just couldn't even speak on Thursday. So unfortunately, had to completely bail on the show. So I apologize, guys. I did manage to get out some starts and sits on Twitter on Sunday morning. And honestly, outside of quarterbacks, we're just not going to talk about that position for a little bit. Outside of quarterbacks, I was pretty spot on. It was a crazy week 8. We knew it was going to be crazy. It was the bipocalypse, but some of the guys that have been just dominating disappeared on us, and then we had some guys come out of hiding and give us some treats here on Halloween week. And I mean, that's the NFL right there. We get some tricks, we get some treats. They're all about the holidays with the NFL, and we definitely got a little bit of both on Sunday. And last night, not really. Last night was kind of a pretty straightforward game between Washington and the Kansas City Chiefs, but we'll get to that in a little bit here. First, just good morning, Alex. Good to see you in the chat. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you had a good weekend. Hopefully, fantasy matchups went your way. This is Wake and Take. I am your host, Justin, the Lord O Games. You can find me on Twitter at @JOwens_FF. You can also find me over on TikTok at JOwensFF. Love to kind of have a little bit of content everywhere, so appreciate y'all joining me here. Alex, trading Tucker Kraft came back to bite me. Oh, please don't tell me you played the guy that you traded Tucker Kraft to, because that would be heartbreaking. But I mean, Tucker Kraft is just dude's balling. He's always been able to do it with a little bit of volume, and now he's getting a lot of the volume, and that's a scary thing if you're going up against him any week and you lost by 2 points. Oh. Did you have anyone playing Sunday night or Monday to at least give yourself some hope, or were you just slowly watching the lead fade away? Because that's the worst. That's the worst when you have nothing to do but watch your lead go tick, 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 tick. Damn, man, you had Brashard. Oh, I mean, that's almost worse. That's almost worse thinking you got 2 points to make up and Brashard Smith can do that. But no, not last night. Not with Kansas City. They're doing some interesting things there with the running backs. It looked like it was going to be Smith over Hunt, and then all of a sudden it's Hunt over Smith and Pacheco leading them all. So it's still definitely a lot of question marks in the Kansas City backfield. Your team is back this week, though you were hurt. Yeah, you're still in first place. It was bipocalypse. There's no need to panic or get upset about losing in the bipocalypse when there's so many good teams that were out last week, so many good players that were out last week. You just kind of have to roll with it. Still in first place, like you said. No big deal. No big deal. We're chilling. We're cruising. It's Halloween week. You got some, just got to go knock on a couple doors and get some candy, and all of a sudden your team's back in it. But let's go ahead and jump into the Monday night breakdown. We had the Kansas City Chiefs come in and take care of business against the Washington Commanders. It was to be expected. No Jaden Daniels, the first game back for Terry McLaurin in ever. And Debo still not 100%. And, Marcus Mariota just can't carry a team like that anymore. So just a little bit upsetting to see how little of an output there was. But like I said, kind of to be expected when you go into Kansas City with a beaten and battered team. Mariota had 2 interceptions. One of them not his fault. One of them Debo just pretty much literally took the ball, popped it up in the air like a volleyball set to the defense on a screen. So that one wasn't really on Mariota, but still just not a good enough performance to keep anyone afloat here. Scary Terry did come in. He's playing to his nickname here, Scary Terry, on Halloween week. He came back, first game back, and he had only 4 targets, which don't love that, but 3 catches for 54 and a tutty. That's amazing. That's great. That's a good start for him to come back. And hopefully with Jaden Daniels coming back, hopefully next week, hopefully we see him back this coming week into week 9. We can have more from Terry. Only played on 48% of the snaps. So again, he missed 4 weeks in a row. We shouldn't expect him to be at a full complement of snaps quite yet. I think it's going to ramp up as we go. So I think we should have more confidence in Terry moving forward. Debo did come back and play 75% of the snaps, so the heel seems to be healed well enough for him to get back to his regular duties. But disappointing game for him. Like I said, he popped up a ball to the defense for one of the interceptions, and then he only had 3 catches for 11 yards. So the Debo of early season is not the Debo of late. We're sitting here seeing 2 dud games in a row. And when Debo's dudding, he's dudding hard. So hopefully, again, with Jaden Daniels, not Mariota, we can see a bit of a bounce back here. A decent schedule coming up. We got Seattle, Detroit, Miami, and then the bye. So a nice little stretch there for the Commanders in terms of defenses they're facing. And like I said, Jaden coming back is going to be the key here. Once he's back, I'm fully confident in Debo and McLaurin. And then in terms of the running backs, where Bill Krosky is still the lead back in terms of snaps and opportunities, but we've seen this with Mariota where he's just not. He doesn't quite get the work. He doesn't quite get what we want to see from him with Mariota. And I think that the runways open up a little bit more with Daniels. He's had every good game Bill's had. It's been with Daniels. So we're wanting Daniels back for this entire offense. It's not quite the Lamar levels of missing Daniels, but it's pretty damn close. Jeremy McNichols did have more points, but that was mainly due to 5 catches for 64 yards from McNichols. Again, McNichols is really the 2-minute back, the heavy, like the deep passing, like the 3rd and long back. That's going to be McNichols. And Bill's going to be everything else. Still waiting to see where the goal line work is going to be, because it just hasn't been the running backs in general. The running backs have not gotten a lot of the goal line work, and there's just no goal line work to work with here against Kansas City. On the Kansas City side, we still had 2 interceptions from Mahomes, which is a little crazy, but it's still, 299 and 3 tutties and another 4 carries for 30 yards. He just continues to get it done no matter what in the air, on the ground. Rashee Rice continues to just be the only wide receiver that you're looking at here. Xavier Worthy had 7 targets, which you like to see, but only 5 for 53. So he's going to be wildly unpredictable moving forward. And Rashee Rice is pretty much the guy. 9 targets, 9 catches. Incredible. 93 yards and a tutty. We're seeing amazing target share. We're seeing amazing efficiency here out of Rice and another tutty. So good things are coming to those who waited on Rice and held on. Congratulations. Travis Kelce, it's only fitting to close out National Tight End Week with a 6 catch, 99 yards and a touchdown for Kelce. He's still a must-start tight end. He has to be started on a weekly basis because he's just consistent. He's not going to have these boom games as much, but he's consistently getting like these 5-6 catches, 5-6 catch games with some yardage. So you got to stick with Kelce on a weekly basis. And if we can start to see this offense start to churn out better games and just keep producing touchdowns, it's going to be wheels up for Kelce and everyone involved. The running back situation here, we saw 2 very similar running back rooms come to battle each other, where Pacheco got the bulk of the snaps, but 12 carries for 58 yards. He's the between the tackles, like between the 20s grinder right now for this team. And Kareem Hunt came in and just he was the red zone back. Every time that they got into the red zone, every time they got to the goal line, it was Kareem Hunt. And we saw it again, 1 touchdown on the ground, 1 touchdown in the air, both from within the 5-yard line. So that's why Kareem Hunt has kind of been the go-to in terms of who I'm starting out of these 3 running backs. Good morning, MV Prof. Good to see you. Kareem Hunt just continues to be the goal line back. Even when he's like dipping in snaps, he's only at a 38% snap share in this game, 20-something last game. It just quite hasn't been there in terms of the snaps, but he's still there with the touchdowns. Like it's not pretty. You can't really even start him because it's just like, again, 18% snaps, 31%, 33%, 32%. Like he's been sub 40% snaps for the past 4 weeks, but he still keeps finding the end zone. It's insane. Like Alex, you're right. He's terrible. It's not pretty. It's ugly. But if they're going to keep plugging him in on the 1, on the 2, on the 3, Like within the 10-yard line, it's been Hunt. They trust him the most with the ball at the goal line. I do feel like a little bit of last night did factor with Pacheco having the knee injury scare. He did leave and come back with a knee injury. It looked gross. It looked bad. It looked like it was going to be like multi-week missing, but he came back and still got some touches. But it's been Kareem Hunt just kind of destroying any hope of usage out of this fantasy usage out of the running back room. Brashard Smith, after a promising week 7 with 38% of the snaps, kind of splitting work with Pacheco, it seemed like we might get a 2-man backfield, a split backfield, and then they come back. Andy Reid comes back, and Brashard Smith is barely used 14% of the snaps, only two opportunities, three carries for 8 yards, not even a target, not one target. There was only one running back target this week, and it went to Kareem Hunt for the touchdown. So you still can't trust the Kansas City running back room. If you have to, if injuries necessitate you to do it, if you need floor, Pacheco's your guy. If you want touchdown upside, you got to go Hunt. And it's gross. You're not going to feel good about this at all. Happy you were screaming at your TV. You had Pacheco in the flex and it was killing you. Yeah. I was rooting against Pacheco last night. There was in my guillotine league, there was a team that had Amon-Ra St. Brown on bye, and I really wanted Amon-Ra St. Brown to hit the waiver wire in the guillotine league. So I was rooting against Pacheco. So I'm sorry. But yeah, even when Pacheco got the ball to the goal line, they still brought him back out. Like there was a play where Pacheco brings it to the 1, and then I see Hunt in there, and it's like, what? Let Pacheco just finish the damn thing off. So it's impossible to trust Kansas City backfield right now. It's honestly impossible to trust anyone in Kansas City outside of Mahomes, who was a weekly must start, Rashee Rice, who was a weekly must start, and Travis Kelce, who was a weekly must start. If you have to start anyone outside of that from the Kansas City Chiefs, you are going to be feeling real bad. You're going to be feeling real gross. MV Prof, you won a league last night by 0.22 on that last Worthy play, was up against Mahomes. I mean, good for you, man. That have to play Worthy in that situation is gross, but at least you pulled out the dub right there by 0.22. That's a good feeling right there. But yeah, like I said, Kansas City, it's hard to trust anyone here. We could see fireworks against Buffalo. They are finally having to travel outside of Kansas City to play a game. They're going into Buffalo. Two hot teams coming up against each other right now. So it'll be a fun game next week. Is that a Monday night game next week? Let me check. That's got to be a Monday night game, right? No, that's just a regular 4:30 game. That's who's doing this? Why do we get Arizona Dallas on Monday night, but we have Kansas City Buffalo in the main slate? What are we doing here? Someone get the schedulers on the line. That was a big fat miss right there. But yeah, that was the Monday night game. Like I said, Washington, it's tough to take anything from them moving forward because of the fact that this is another game without Jaden Daniels. Jaden was ruled out early because they want Jaden to focus on getting healthy, which is smart. It's a smart thing. This is your franchise quarterback, and obviously they're not down and out this season. They're 3-5. They're 3-5 right now, so they're still in it. They're still in it for a wild card spot because Philadelphia is cruising at 6-2. But there is opportunity here. They need Daniels to come back and they need to make a run, and they're just banking on that right now. So stick with your McLaurin, stick with your Debo, and then honestly, like if you can avoid starting Bill, you can. But I mean, it's tough in the running back streets right now. He's just not doing it without Daniels. So if it's Mariota again next week, try to find a pivot there. We'll talk about that a little bit more on Thursday. But for today's show, I'm going to be going over the news, obviously, as we always do. Going to go over the tricks and the treats we were left from the Week 8 slate. And then I have some trade targets for the two different types of teams out there. Because right now, we're halfway through the season. There's two teams. There's two teams out there. There's the teams on top of the mountain that are feeling really good, that are already looking forward to like the playoffs. They're looking forward to who can help set them up for the end of the season. And then you got their scrappers in the middle and at the bottom of the league that are fighting for that top 6 spot. trying to sneak into the playoffs to make a run. So I got some targets for both of those mindsets. So I know I got some teams in both of those categories, and I'm looking to make trades for these guys here. So going to be bringing those to you. But first, as always, let's get to the news. MV Prof, is there two Monday night games? No, there's only one Monday night game this week. It's the Cardinals at the Cowboys, and the Sunday night game is going to be Seattle at Washington. So we don't even get like a nice little double Monday night game to kind of split our attention. We just get the ugly Arizona Dallas game there. Hopefully we get Kyler Murray back. Hopefully we see some offense, and it at least is entertaining for fantasy purposes, but it just feels like a gross game, to be honest with you. But like I said, let's get into the news. Where is my news? We had one major injury go down, and it was heartbreaking to see because it's a rookie. It's a rookie that's been performing well and really just brought life to his team. It's Cam Skattebo. He's out for the season with a dislocated ankle. If you watched it, I'm sorry that you had to see that. I was watching Red Zone and I saw him sitting on the ground, and I'm like, his foot is not pointing the right direction. And I literally, like, my son was sitting right next to me, and I immediately, like, I watch Red Zone on the phone. Being a father of two young children, the big TV is often not in play on a Sunday during the day. So I'm watching on my phone. My son's over my shoulder. He's watching too. And I see that. I'm like, I immediately just like, phone down. We don't need to see that. Just move on. Thankfully, they didn't do, I didn't see if it was the real on the full broadcast, if they did a replay, but thankfully Scott Hansen and the team on Red Zone were, kind enough to not play the replay of that, because it was gruesome. It was tough to watch. It was tough to see. And it's just, you hate to see it for a guy like Skattebo, who, like I said, him and Dart came in at the same times, like both got put into the starting lineup at about the same time and just revived the hopes and dreams of the New York Giants. So to see him go down like that, it's brutal to see. But in terms of fantasy football, I had been saying for the past 2 weeks, with Tyrone Tracy back, he is a priority handcuff stash. He's going to be a handcuff plus stash because of the fact that Skattebo seeks out contact. Injuries are more likely. Quentin case right here. I hate to see it. I was never rooting for it. Didn't want to see it, but it's just the reality of the NFL. These guys are slamming into each other. And like I said, Skattebo seeked out contact often. So the odds of an injury increase from that. This wasn't him seeking out contact, and it wasn't him doing anything. It was just a regular play that just turned bad. So Tyrone Tracy is going to be, if you didn't already stash him the past 2 weeks, like I've been telling you to, he is the priority number one waiver fab dump running back for this week. He's going to step right back in as the 60 to 65% lead back in New York. And I mean, that's where he was at the beginning of the season. That's where Tyrone Tracy was at the beginning of the year. And that's where he's going to slot back in. We saw him, like I said, like week 1, 73%. Week 2, he was down at a 50-50 split with Skattebo. So expect more of this, like I said, the 60 to 70, I would say, percent of the snaps and opportunities for Tyrone Tracy here. We haven't seen much out of him at all, but I do think that just based on the weapons that are left for this team, Tyrone Tracy is going to get some run. He's going to get some run, and he like I said, running back is a damn minefield out there right now. You have to take volume wherever volume comes, and that's Tyrone Tracy right now. In your deeper leagues, go ahead and stash Devin Singletary too if you have an open spot. He's not someone that I expect to be a handcuff plus right now. But if Tracy can't get it done, we know that Singletary's been used in this offense before, and he's had success. So definitely someone in your deeper leagues, if you have an open stash spot, Singletary becomes a stash as well. But I think that this Tracy is the easy 1-for-1 replacement for Skattebo right now. I think he's not going to be as good as Skattebo, obviously. Maybe better in the passing game, more efficient in the passing game, but less efficient in the run game than what we've seen. But we could see a good stretch here. And then I think we're going to see more rushing yards out of Jackson Dart. Another 6 carries for him this week. We've seen him put up between 5 to to 13 carries every single week since he took over. And I think that's just going to be what it is. That's the game plan. The wide receivers aren't really getting the job done. We see Wandale with 4 targets, Slayton with 5 targets, and that's really it. Theo Johnson with 4 targets. It's really not it's really just not working for the passing game too much because there's no neighbors. Dart's doing what he can, but without a lot of volume, it's going to be a lot of the run game. It's going to be a lot of the passing game to the wide receivers here. So I think Dart runs more, and his floor is going to be boosted. Another rushing touchdown to just keep himself in that weekly streamer, weekly starter range. But yeah, I think Dart and Trace are going to be your 2 primary starts from the Giants moving forward. If you got to start a Wandale, you got to start a Wandale, but I'm not feeling confident about that at all. We had Drake London be a late inactive on Sunday right before the 1:00 games, and it just seems like without London, without Penix, that this offense was flat. We've seen them disappear with Penix and London both out there, but when it was Kirk Cousins out there, like I said, it's just wildly flat, gross, disappearing act. They put on their ghost costume early for Halloween and just completely disappeared. Kirk Cousins looked awful. The whole offense looked awful against the Miami Dolphins. The running game looked awful. Bijan Robinson, who I've been saying is in the running for RB1 overall, just completely disappeared. And it was just, it was bad. Yeah. Happy CMC and Bijan definitely tricked you. I got a trick or treat segment coming up here, and yeah, you'll see both those guys in there. They both disappeared, just like this entire Falcons offense. Mooney still doesn't look like he's right coming off of the injury. He's been in and out. He just isn't. He's not quite healthy, and it's very clear that he's trying to force it right now, and it's just not working. That was a big L on my part. I put it out there on Twitter that I scooped up Mooney in 3 different leagues, started him in 3 different leagues, and got burned in 3 different leagues. At least I still won in 2 of those. So he didn't kill me, but in one of my leagues, he just absolutely destroyed me. I'm not full panic on a guy like Bijan or London or Pitts. I'm not panicking, but you just have to understand that this is in the range of outcomes. Atlanta can just disappear, and along with it, Bijan, London, and Pitts can disappear. So they're still must start guys due to the volume, due to the upside of them on a weekly basis. But you also just have to be conscious that they can do this to you. So if you find someone that wants to trade you for someone a little bit more reliable than a London or a Pitts, you can't trade Bijan. You just can't do it. Like I said, he's still in the running for RB1 on the season. He stumbled a little bit here, and JT is still going full strong. But if you can trade London or Pitts to get someone a little bit more consistent, I don't have a problem with that. Our hip drop tackles still not illegal. Still seems like I've seen injuries from them, but no flags. I feel like it's just so hard to call in the moment. Like unless it's like in the open field and blatantly obvious, I feel like it's such a hard thing to call in the moment. But yeah, it's one of those things that's just you hate to see it, and we see it way more often than we should. We got Paul in the chat here. Dynasty is a mid-first and second enough for JT. Honestly, it probably should be enough for JT. It really depends on who the JT manager is. If they're in a rebuild, that should be enough for them. They should just be trying to get out. You might have to toss in a player or two. It really just depends on who has JT right now. If it's a competitor right now, if it's one of the guys at the top of the league, which if he's got JT, very much possible. You might not be able to get him for that because they're making the push too. But in terms of like going after JT off of a rebuild team, that might be enough, honestly. Like I said, like he's not the youngest back out there. He's not the oldest, but he is kind of hitting that age cliff for running back. So if it's someone who's not competing this year, that might be enough. So go ahead and, if you're pushing, send it. I don't hate it. The dude's balling. And if you need him to complete your infinity gauntlet and make the run, go for it. I got no problem. I got no problem. I'm always the guy where like if I am on the cusp, if I like feel like I can make a run and I just need one more piece, I'll send the first. I'll send the second. I did it last year and it won me a league, so I'll always be more aggressive than not with my picks. I love having the pretty team. But over the past like year to 2 years, I've really gotten into the habit of making that snap decision of I'm competing, I'll send the first, I'll send the second. If I need to break it down to rebuild, I'll worry about that next year. If I'm making the push now, I'm making the push. That's my dynasty mindset. And then, like I said, if I gotta rebuild, I gotta rebuild the following year. Carson Wentz. Next bit of news here: Carson Wentz for the Minnesota Vikings, done for the season with shoulder surgery. He had a torn labrum since the London game. What is Minnesota doing? We've seen JJ McCarthy play through his ankle sprain and then ended up missing more time because of it. We've seen Carson Wentz now playing through a torn labrum. Like, clearly, like he was doing all right. He was putting up 300-yard games, but we saw in the Thursday night game, Carson Wentz was not okay. He was not, should not have been out there playing football, but he was, and it's confirmed now. He took a beating. Dude looked like he was in pain from the get-go. So he is done for the season. We will not be seeing any more Carson Wentz. But I do think that we see JJ McCarthy come back here in week 9 against Detroit. Tough matchup to come back to. Detroit's getting a little bit healthier on defense, and we saw the defense, the Legion of Whom, step in. So I think that Detroit's going to be a tough defense to come back against. But I still think that in terms of fantasy football, Justin Jefferson and Addison are going to be completely fine. The jury is out right now on what JJ McCarthy is going to look like. If he's able to run, I think he's going to be a good streamer. Maybe not this week, but this is a good week to watch him. And if you got an open spot and you need some quarterback streamer help, I think you can go ahead and scoop a JJ McCarthy for the future. Let's see, it's in Detroit too. So yeah, this is gonna be a little bit ugly. But he gets some solid matchups after that. He gets Baltimore and Chicago weeks 10 and 11. So if you need some QB streamer help for not this week again, but the following weeks, I think he can do a lot worse than JJ McCarthy, especially if he's healthier. They've been letting him sit. They've been letting him wait. So we should see some running out of him. In terms of the running backs here, JJ McCarthy doesn't really move the meter one way or another for Jordan Mason or Aaron Jones. They're very much in the same situation of gross. But if you got to start one, I'm probably starting Aaron Jones after how bad Jordan Mason has been. He's been on my fade list for the past 4 weeks now, and I will continue especially with Aaron Jones back now. Fade. Can't start him. The last little bit of injury news that I got here is last little bit of injury news that I got here. Actually, I got 2. Quinshon Judkins left the game against New England with a shoulder injury. He did not return in this game. Dylan Sampson becomes a stash. They do go on bye, right? Cleveland goes on bye. So maybe Judkins is back in time. I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter, but Jeff Mueller from Destination Devi, he's one of my favorite follows on Twitter, especially for the injury updates. He's always putting out his expectations and just like what he sees in terms of the injury. Obviously, he's not a team doctor. He's not in there seeing the injuries firsthand, so he can't tell you like exactly what the diagnosis is, but he is pretty consistent and spot on a lot of the time. So he's been my go-to injury update guy on Twitter. Again, Jeff Mueller. He says that this looks and sounds like a low-grade AC sprain for Judkins. So with the bye week, he says that there's a decent chance that he doesn't miss any time. Still stash Dylan Sampson if you got a stash spot on your roster. Sampson came in and was the primary back after Judkins went down, and we saw that before Judkins came and signed with the team, that Sampson was the primary back. We saw a healthy split between him and Ford, but Sampson's the pass catching guy. Sampson's honestly the primary guy without a Judkins in there. So if Judkins does miss time, you'll want Sampson to plug in here. Not overly excited. He's not a priority. Obviously, Tyrone Tracy's still higher than him, but he is a good backup stash for week 10 coming off of the bye if Judkins does miss time. And the other injury that we were watching was Saquon Barkley left the game with a groin injury. He did not come back either, but after the game in his interviews, he did say that was because of the score. He wasn't needed. He already did his job. And Tank Bigsby was looking perfectly fine out there. Tank Bigsby over 100 yards. And that's another kind of like stash. Philadelphia, the same boat here as Cleveland, where running back left with an injury, but they got the bye and it doesn't sound like it's a serious injury. So Tank Bigsby is another just kind of stash and see for week 10 A groin injury is a little bit more concerning than a shoulder injury right now, especially a low-grade shoulder injury for Judkins. So keep an eye on the injury reports following this week, because Philly doesn't have to report shit this week. They're on bye. They're not going to say a damn word about Saquon Barkley and his status. But next week, keep an eye on Saquon Barkley. Those groin injuries, those like soft tissue injuries, always find a way to just be kind of annoying. So if Saquon does come back and does seem like he's questionable, Tank Bigsby is going to be a priority. So scoop him and stash him now while you can for free on the bye. I don't think he's going to be a big priority for people here. It's a pretty quiet waiver week outside of Tyrone Tracy. So maybe Bigsby does get scooped. Maybe Sampson does get scooped. So that's why you want to do it now. A1, morning. How we doing, Alex? Good to see you in here. But yeah, so Bigsby and Sampson are going to be your stashes for week 10, and Tyrone Tracy is going to be your priority stash there. But that is all the injury news that I got. Luckily, not a huge week of injuries, thankfully, outside of the one bad one to Skattebo. I'm going to be jumping in here. Actually, before we jump into our tricks or treats, let's go ahead and talk about our DFS. I know I went heavy in my quick pick super slam on FastDraft. I went heavy with the Bijan. I went Bijan CMC. I was going all of like the stud running backs that get the volume in good games. I went heavy with them, and guess what? I just got no luck in FastDraft this year. I can't crack 100 points to save my life, because everyone I pick either gets hurt mid-game or just completely disappears. So I like I said, I think I just need to start doing my FastDraft draft before the Thursday show and just post it for you guys so you can see who to avoid that week. But another disappointing week for me on FastDraft. If you guys played and did well, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Let me know who you're picking so I can go ahead and not pick them and screw you guys over for this coming week. But as always, I love doing the fast drafts. Like I said, I did the quick six super slam this week because I wanted to just jam in the top running backs in what should have been a good week. Disappointed. But I think I'm going to flip back to the flex six frenzy this week. And like I said, I just like the draft. I like being able to, I hate having where it's just like an unlimited amount of options with your salary caps or the quick six super slam. That's not really my bag. I like having the draft kind of give some variance. I like having that randomness kind of play into it a little bit. So that's why I'll always go with the flex six frenzy. It's a little bit less random because, again, pods down from 10 players to 8 players. So you get your guys still, you get a lot of points, and it's a lot of fun just slotting you guys into the 2x, 1.5, 1.25x boosters there. So FastDraft is still my favorite out there. I may not be winning this year, but I'm still having fun while doing it. So go in there, use the code JOwensFF to get a $50 deposit match. And I'm going to kick it over to the podfather here to talk a little bit more about the Flex 6 Frenzy.
I know your sad draft season is over, but just because the NFL season starts doesn't mean the drafting stops. Because FastDraft has the Flex 6 Frenzy. You're drafting 6 guys for the Sunday slate against 9 other competitors. It's fast, it's furious, it's fun. And as with everything on FastDraft, there are no salaries. Woo! So go to draftfaster.com, get the app, use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a lot of fun. I'm in them streets on a weekly basis. Like I said, not winning, but having fun. That's what it's all about, you know. I'll make my $5 deposit on a weekly basis, just because. I mean, if I was winning more money, I'd put more and more in. But I just can't. I can't catch a break in these DFS streets this year. Luckily, everything else is going good. My best ball team's on FastDraft, looking pretty nice. Even with all of my rabbit drafts where I was scooping up Anthony Richardson in the last pick, he didn't kill me, not killing me. Still looking good on the season long best ball drafts there. But as always, if you're going to go into FastDraft, if you haven't made a deposit yet, if you haven't played the games yet, code JOwens gets you a $50 deposit match. And I'm gonna be back in there this week. I'm gonna be back in there, and like I said, maybe I'll do it today. Maybe I'll just get ahead of myself and I'll do it today. And I'll go ahead and share with you guys on Thursday what my Flex 6 Frenzy team looks like. And you can either say that I'm due this week and you can follow along with me, or you can just completely go the opposite and avoid those guys. But Always going to have fun with that. Moving on to, it's Halloween week, y'all. It's Halloween week, and we don't get the Sunday games before Halloween. So week 8 was kind of our Halloween week. We get a Thursday game before Halloween, but does that really count? It will. I'll still talk about Halloween then, but we had our tricks and our treats come early with week 8. We had some guys that are just steady, consistent, big boom, expected good matchups, and just nothing. They absolutely pulled a trickaroo on us. They reached into their bag. You think you're going to get candy, and all of a sudden, you're getting an apple. You're getting a pamphlet, and you're just like, what? Where's my candy? Where's my candy? I wanted fantasy points. I wanted fun. I wanted goods. I wanted my treats, and you got left with nothing. You're Charlie Brown opening up your bag. You got to rock. So let's go ahead and talk about our tricks on the week, starting off with the number 1 trick on the week, Bijan Robinson. You thought Miami Dolphins. They've been giving up 30-point games left and right to running backs. You're thinking there's no way. No Michael Penix. You're thinking they're going to lean on Bijan. And he lets you down. He gives you the biggest rock of all. He gives you the stinky flaming bag of poo on your doorstep. 4.3 fantasy points. Like I said earlier, talking about Drake London, the Atlanta offense has just been doing this all season. They've had games where they are just looking on fire. They're looking great. They're looking amazing. And then all of a sudden they just disappear. Like, what are they like? What is going on in Atlanta? I don't know. There's zero consistency. The coaching there is just sus at best. So I think that it's just a combination of things. But even in the games where Atlanta's offense disappeared as a whole, Bijan was still giving you good games. I mean, we saw in the shutout against Carolina, you still got 14 half PPR points out of Bijan Robinson. He's been consistent. He's been like, he hasn't been under 20 except for the Carolina game, 19. He hasn't been under 19 opportunities all season. And here we are, week 8 against Miami in an absolute smash spot, 12 opportunities. The lone touchdown for the Atlanta Falcons goes to Tyler Algier. What? What are we doing? Why are we not feeding our stud star running back against the worst run defense in the league right now? Like, it was no secret that the way you beat Miami is on the ground, and you give your number 1 running back 12 opportunities. The Atlanta Falcons deserve to be embarrassed after that. He's still RB5 on the season. It was one bad game. I'm not panicking. I'm not scared off of Bijan. He's going to be perfectly fine, but we have seen the floor. The floor is this, 4 points. Not going to panic here. These first 2 guys I'm not going to panic on, but I still got to highlight them. I want to hear from you guys. Anyone that you got tricked by this week. Happy, you already said CMC and Bijan. That's my next guy I'm talking about here. Christian McCaffrey, another guy. The 4 guys that I have in my in the running for RB1 overall, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, trick. Christian McCaffrey, trick. Jahmyr Gibbs, bye. It was just Jonathan Taylor in that group that looked good. We got tricked here also by Christian McCaffrey with 8.3 fantasy points. Another guy who, no matter how bad the offense looked, he was being fed and he was just putting up ridiculous stat lines. 14 opportunities for Christian McCaffrey, who hasn't seen under, 25? He hasn't seen under 25 opportunities. I'm sorry. Week 2 against New Orleans, he only had 20 opportunities. He hasn't seen under 20 opportunities all season, and we got 14 out of him. This is another team. They were down. It's not like they were up big. They were down and trying to come back all game. And you only give Christian McCaffrey 14 opportunities. Another case of like, what are we doing? What are we thinking here? Like, what was the game plan, and why was it not Christian McCaffrey? Houston had the right idea. They literally, the whole defensive strategy was make Mac Jones and the ragtag group of wide receivers try to beat you. And they clearly couldn't. MV Prof, the Texans had record time of possession. I get it, but 32 pass attempts from Mac Jones is a lot of pass attempts. 32 is a lot, and only 6 of them went to Christian McCaffrey when we've seen 10, 15, 11, 9, 8, 8. We've seen the high targets. We've seen the passing game run through Christian McCaffrey. So yeah, I understand. I get it. I get that the Houston's game plan worked, but at the same time, like, 14 opportunities for Christian McCaffrey. It's just, it's malpractice right there. So another disappointing game, but another guy that I'm not panicking on. I'm not freaking out. I'm not selling Christian McCaffrey. I'm holding on. I got to commiserate with y'all because, I mean, a combined 12.6 fantasy points, half PPR for two of the top 5 running backs in the entire league right now is just gross. 41 minutes to 18 minutes. Yeah. But again, like, there was still plenty of pass attempts there. 32 pass attempts isn't a small amount. That's nothing to sneeze at right there. And for Jawan Jennings to get more targets for, like I said, only 14 opportunities when he hasn't seen under 20. It's just, you got to get the ball into the hands of your playmaker, and they did not, and they deserve to lose. Sorry about that. I had a little bit of something in my throat. I am still trying to, I don't know if you guys can hear it in my voice, but struggling a little bit on the voice. So trying to keep it going, trying to keep it strong. Hoping I don't lose my voice for the Thursday show again. We got some more tricks. Quentin Johnston. Yeah, go ahead, smash that like. Appreciate you. Appreciate you with the filibuster there for me, MV Prof. Go ahead, smash that like button. Another trick, another just complete, put the ghost costume on and completely disappeared was Quinton Johnston on Thursday night. He was a full week early for Halloween here, just disappearing. I don't know if you guys have seen the Chargers posting all of their Halloween party pictures, but I didn't see Quentin Johnston in any of those pictures either. So maybe he's really taken this disappearing act to the next level, and he's just really committed to the bid at this point. 0 targets for Quentin Johnston. Big old goose. And that's, I'm concerned. I'm concerned because we've been seeing it out of Quentin Johnston where, like, we saw the roulette game with the 3 wide receivers where you're just kind of spinning the wheel, but to see the targets go down to 0 is very concerning. Only 53% of snaps this week. It was ahead of Keenan, but it was behind Ladd, and it was behind Trey Harris, who is the 1-for-1 replacement for QJ. He did deal with the injury not that long ago. And maybe the game was out of hand. He's still feeling a little bit banged up. They just wanted to get him some rest. I'm hoping that's the case, and I'm hoping we get QJ back ready to go next week. So I'm not fully panicked. I'm not scared. I'm still going to be starting Quentin Johnston where I have him. But definitely got the ears perked up. The antenna, the signal is up there. And it's one of those things where I'm a little bit, yeah, A1. Gadsden's the new number 1 target. It's Gadsden and it's Ladd. They've been the 2 guys that have just been consistent over the past 2-3 weeks now. It's been Ladd, it's been Gadsden, and I don't know if that's gonna. I don't know if it's gonna be a full roulette wheel where it's one to 2 of the 4 guys here, but that's kind of what it's seeming. Gadsden's breakout is coinciding with QJ's fall off, so that might just be the shift that we're seeing here. You're absolutely right. So like I said, not full panic, but he is going to be ranked on the bottom of the he's at the bottom of my rankings for the Chargers pass catchers right now. It's going to go Ladd, it's going to go Gadsden, it's going to go Keenan, and then QJ for me now. And until we see something, like I said, the snaps for QJ have been over Keenan. So maybe like those 2 flip flop on a weekly basis, but really the only 2 that I'm going to be confident in is Ladd and Gadsden. And Gadsden has just been amazing. He's going to be in the treat section for sure. We're going to get to him a little bit later. So QJ completely disappeared. QJ pulled the full ghost on us here. And again, I'm hoping it was just kind of the game script where they wanted to see Trey Harris a little bit more, the rookie, and they wanted to give QJ some more time to heal up from when he was banged up a couple weeks ago. Last trick that I have here is a combo. It's the Buccaneers. It was Baker and it was Egbuka. We had 4.08 points out of Baker, 0 touchdown passes for Baker, and then we got 5 points out of Egbuka. I'm not really like full panic on these guys either. They're clearly beat up. They're going into the bye week this week, and it is needed for Tampa Bay. They need everyone to get healthy. We want to see Godwin out there. We want to see Egbuka fully healthy. We want to see Bucky Irving back. So I think that the bye week is at a perfect time right now for the Bucs. They're going to get healthier. They're going to hopefully come out swinging. But if you can go ahead and in a seasonal league, try to rip Egbuka away from the Egbuka manager right now, it's the time. It's the time to do it. He's had 3 bad games in a row with the injury included, and then bye week now, and you don't know how he's going to come out in week 10. So if the Egbuka manager is struggling and they need production now, make that offer, make that move, try to go ahead and tear him away from the Egbuka manager. If you can take the bye week 0 this week, I think it'll be worth it in the long run here. But another group of guys, I don't think any of the tricks are real full panics except for QJ. QJ was a panic. Obviously Baker and Egbuka being down is rough to see, but I think they're going to come back, and they just need the break here. This is, again, Baker had an ugly game, but he wasn't really needed. They were up the entire game, so he didn't need to do any heroics. But this was the first time that Baker's been held without a touchdown of any kind since 2023. Baker's been consistent for the past 2 years, and this is the first time he's been without a touchdown since 2023. So definitely concerned. And like I said, this is a little bit of a buy low window with them being banged up and going into the bye. 2 kind of ugly games. Like I said, 3 ugly games for Egbuka in a row. So this is the buy window if you want to try to make that offer there. MV Prof, you got offered a potential mid 26 first in Dynasty for Hendo. Take it. I think I'd take that. Yeah. I know Henderson, were just the weirdest thing in the world to see Henderson go from 2 carries last week to like success against the Cleveland Browns. I don't understand it, but I mean, you paid around a early-ish, mid-ish first rounder for Henderson. So if you can just get your investment back for Henderson, I think I'm going to go ahead and take that, especially in a super flex league. That could still be a top running back, a top wide receiver, the second or third quarterback in the draft. It could be any of those. So if you're not feeling confident in Henderson and this New England Patriots running game in general moving forward, I think I would go ahead and do that. It's a very fair value in my opinion. It just depends on how you feel about either of those guys. You're thinking of taking it and just slinging it for a productive running back. I love that. I love that for you. I think that's a good move. You either hold on, and like I said, you can use it next year. But if you're a competitive team right now, I would go ahead and do that. If you can go ahead and work that magic there and make your team better for this year, I don't think you're gonna be killing yourself. Like I said, mid first is what you paid for him. So I think it's very fair value. His value is definitely taking a hit. So to recoup what you spent on him, I think that's perfectly fine. I would go ahead and do that. Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on to the treats, though. It wasn't all bad. It wasn't all tricks. We had some guys that we've been a little bit disappointed in, and we had some guys come out of nowhere and just explode for us here. So first up in the treats category is Saquon Barkley, 31.4 fantasy points, and that was on an incomplete game. He came out second play of the game, just, 60, 70-yard touchdown. Lovely there. The buy window has officially slammed shut for Barkley here. It's we've been waiting for it. He's been held under 65 yards for so long. The steam has been building, and the gasket finally blew, and Barkley's out the gates. Like I said, watch out for that groin injury. Those types of things linger. Those types of things are annoying and could flare up. Luckily, he gets the bye week, so he should be able to come back 100% ready to go week 10. So like I said earlier, still scooping Tank Bigsby as a handcuff here for Saquon, because we saw this run game can still do it. We saw 250 rushing yards out of the running backs here between Saquon and Bigsby. So whoever is in the driver's seat here, whether it's Barkley or Bigsby because of an injury, they're going to be fantasy viable. So both of these guys, great. Breece Hall, I was real worried about Breece Hall. I was real scared that the Jets offense was going to be so bad that it did not matter what volume he got, that Breece was not going to be able to perform, but he did it. A passing touchdown too. Like someone had to pass to get someone had to get a touchdown to Mason Taylor with all the targets, and it was Breece Hall, so fittingly for the Jets here. The future of the Jets is still a big question mark hanging over Breece Hall, but this is why you can't bench him. You cannot bench Breece Hall. You're going to have to eat some bad games, but the volume is there where you can expect at least a floor from time to time. You will see a bottoming out occasionally, like we saw in the 2 weeks prior. But this ceiling right here is why you can't bench him. Like I said, you'll get your 6 point, you'll get your 6 point games like you did in weeks 6 and 7, but you can also expect like 12 to 15 fantasy points on a regular basis. And then the big blow ups on occasion here, like we just saw, 133 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Breece Hall, like I said, can't bench him because of this here. And you just we're going to get Garrett Wilson back. Hopefully this win is what gives some life to the New York Jets here. I'm hoping that it's still Justin Fields at quarterback. I know he's been bad, but he opens up this offense for the weapons so much more. I think the big issue has been there's been no Garrett Wilson. So teams have really been able to focus in on stopping Breece and making Justin Fields beat you in the air. And that's just not Justin Fields' strong suit. The Jets are going to win and put up points when they can run the ball. And like I said, without Garrett Wilson, it's been tough for them to have any type of duality. So Garrett Wilson hopefully coming back soon. Jets also on the bye this week. So hopefully we get Wilson back in week 10. They get a decent they go up against Cleveland. So it's going to be a tough stretch here. Cleveland and New England, weeks 10 and 11. But then it's going to be Baltimore, Atlanta, Miami for the Jets. So you could see a good little stretch here out of the bye from the Jets in general. And I'm sticking with Breece. You got to stick with him. Chase Brown, he's like me. He's pulling a zombie. We missed last week, but Chase Brown looks like he's back. 24 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 1 in the air. Flacco has revived the Bengals fantasy options. Would have loved to see them get a win so that they're fighting for a playoff spot and they don't start shutting down early. Honestly, the AFC North is wide open right now with the Lamar injury, with Pittsburgh floundering a little bit. So I still think that they're going to be pushing with Joe Flacco. And the big three's back in Cincinnati. We got Chase Brown, we got Jamar Chase, we got T. Higgins. They're back, all 3 of them in the must-start range. And it's great to see. I know Samaje Perine creeped back up there in snaps and opportunities, but I think that was just because he was playing well. So they were able to do a little bit of both. But I think Brown's still very much the primary. You will see some games where it's 50-50 split with Perine, but I think we're starting to see some efficiency that we've been lacking in the early season from Brown here. So what do you guys think? Are you riding with Chase Brown for the rest of the season? Is he back in your must-start category here? I think he's got to be. This offense is humming along. Hendrickson is out on the defense once again with an injury. We don't know how long he's going to be out with the hip injury, but as the defense has taken hits and the offense just continues to produce with Joe Flacco at the helm. So I'm riding with the big 3 here in Cincinnati on a weekly basis from here on out. I was fading Chase Brown pretty much from week 3 through honestly even this week. I wasn't fully back in, but week 7 was promising. But week 3 through week 7, I was fading Chase Brown, and I'm back in. I'm back in, baby. Obviously, RB1's out of the question, but if we can just get some RB2 consistency out of on a weekly basis, let's go. Last little treat that I got here was Troy Franklin and RJ Harvey on the Denver Broncos. Troy Franklin was one of my starts. Again, I apologize, guys. I didn't get to do the Thursday show because of my voice. But I did make a post on Sunday, and Troy Franklin was my wide receiver start of the week. Bam! 23.9 fantasy points here, 23.6 for RJ Harvey. Troy Franklin is really the one that is going to be prescriptive moving forward. He's been consistently the wide receiver 2 in terms of snaps and targets for the Denver Broncos. It just hasn't really connected a whole lot, but he's been the wide receiver 4 in terms of red zone targets with 10 of them. And then guess what? Bam! 2 tutties this week. He's one of the most trusted wide receivers for Bo Nix. So I think we're starting to see Bo Nix settle in a little bit here. And I think we're going to see Troy Franklin have a good stretch of games here. So if he's still sitting out on waivers, go scoop him now. And then RJ Harvey had an explosion game, only 29% of snaps though. So if you still have him, he becomes a high upside, low floor flex play. But I'm hoping that after this big game, that we start to see Sean Payton kind of flip the switch to a 50-50 split with Dobbins still being the primary. He's going to be the Mark Ingram, and then RJ Harvey is hopefully going to be the Alvin Kamara. I'm hoping that this is the catalyst that starts that split backfield here. And then the last two guys that I want to talk about in the treat category is Gadsden, Orande Gadsden, and then Harold Fannin, both rookie tight ends just going out there and putting in work. I talked about him last week. I had TikToks on Gadsden, and he's just smashing. He's smashing, baby. He is a main target here for Justin Herbert, and Fannin is the number one. It doesn't matter if Njoku's out there. Fannin is the number one target for Dylan Gabriel, and you got to go with the tight ends on the Browns here. They're just getting too much work, and they're the only ones that are making anything happen here outside of Judkins. So Fannin's going to go on a bye here, so maybe you can scoop him from a team if they drop him in a panic, but I don't think anyone's going to. And then Gadsden, if you scooped him over the past 2 weeks, roll with it, baby. Roll with it. Top 5 tight end rest of season coming in hot here. Second, going to move on to the second topic that I got here. I told you guys I'm going to bring you some trade targets. I'm going to start off with, if your team is on top of the world, if you're riding high, if you're crushing it, you're in first, second, third, and you're already looking forward to the playoffs. We're at the halfway point, but there's some teams that are sitting pretty comfortable, and you can start making moves looking to the playoffs. There's some injured guys out there. There's some guys that got some good schedules coming up that you can go ahead and try to make a move for a team that is maybe feeling a little bit desperate. They might be in the second category of the scrappers that you can maybe take some guys away from them for cheaper or even at cost right now. They're going to be worth it in the long run. First up is going to be Bucky Irving for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This one's going to be tough. This one's going to be a tough pull from the Bucky manager because they've sat out with him for the past, 4 weeks now and the bye. But if they are desperate, if they need wins now, it's no guarantee that Bucky is coming back in week 10. So if he can go ahead and make the offer, make the pitch to go get Bucky, it's going to be beneficial for you in the long run. The playoff schedule is absolutely juicy. You get Atlanta, Carolina, and Miami to close out the year, and he's going to have fresh legs. He's been out for so long. He's been dealing with the ankle injury. He's been dealing with the shoulder injury. The shoulder's been more severe than the ankle. So hopefully he comes back, like I said, with some fresh legs. And before he went down, weeks 1 through 4, he was averaging 15.6 fantasy points per game. And in his absence, Rachaad White has been putting up a respectable 12.7 fantasy points per game. So I think that no matter who is at the number one chair for Tampa Bay, they're going to be very fantasy friendly. They're going to be very much producing for your fantasy team. You want to see Bucky in there because he is the main guy. He is the guy that blew up last year. And you're hoping for the same thing that we saw in 2024, where it's end of season and Bucky just smashes for you. He can do it again, just in a different way, coming back from injury this time instead of from the bottom of the depth chart. So Bucky Irving is going to be my first buy target. If you got to buy high, buy high. It's not, I don't know how high it is, like I said, but like the fact that the manager's been sitting 4 weeks and waiting without him, it's going to be a tough sell. But if you can do it, go get him. Second guy is going to be Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. Another kind of tough sell here because of the fact that if the manager's been holding on to him for this long, why would they get rid of him now? But Pearsall's going to be a little bit easier because we don't have a timetable. We have no idea when he's going to come back. He's going to be reevaluated today/this week for when he can come back. But he's another juicy schedule here. Honestly, you could probably slot Brandon Ayuk into this category as well. For a guy to go after because it's a juicy playoff schedule. You got Tennessee, Indianapolis, and Chicago to close out your playoff schedule. And honestly, it's going to be a tight race in the NFC West between San Francisco and the LA Rams. I think that, and even Seattle, those three, it's going to be a tight race. They're going to be fighting for the division. They're going to be fighting for a playoff wild card spot. So they're going to have to be putting their best foot forward. They're not going to be able to hold back and give these guys any more rest. So I think Pearsall and Ayuk are going to be good. Pearsall was the preseason darling. Everyone was so high on Pearsall, wanted to go get him. So I think you got to go get him. You got to be a little bit, like I said, you got to be a little bit cautious. You don't sell the house for him. Don't give anyone away that's already performing for you, because he's been he's been out for so long. We don't know what the actual timeline for return looks like. So it's a little bit of this is more of a riskier one, but I think if he is able to come back in the next 2-3 weeks, it's going to pay off for your fantasy team in the playoffs and at the end of the year when you need the points the most. I think Pearsall is going to be very viable, very usable there. Obviously want to see him come back and get worked back into the offense before you plug him in the playoffs. But I think if he can do that, he's going to be worth the shot here. And another wide receiver that I got is going to be Khalil Shakir. He's not going to be as big of a name, so he might be a little bit easier of a sell here. Obviously, big game this past week, but they are going up against Kansas City, so we might see a little bit of a dud, and the window might open up a little bit bigger. You might not have to sell as much to go get him, but I think no matter what, Shakir is going to be a good buy moving forward. It's not just the playoffs; it's just the end of the season is looking pretty good for the Bills. He's got a good stretch here, and he seems to be coming back to his 2024 form. He's getting the steady targets most out of this wide receiver core, and I mean, he's got the yak ability. He looks better. The ankle seems to be fully healed, so I think we're going to see more consistency out of Shakir moving forward. He's really the only pass catcher that you can trust here in Buffalo. And like I said, weeks 13 through 17 are going to be they're pretty smashy here for Shakir. He's got, I had it written down. I don't know what I did with it, but let's see here. Like I said, weeks 13 through 17 is looking juicy. We got KC next week and Miami the week after. Haven't been great for slot wide receivers, but you got Tampa after that. You got Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New England, and Cleveland are all pretty good matchups for slot wide receivers. So like I said, you're hoping that it doesn't become James Cook's games, but I think Shakir is going to be a very good boon. He's going to be a good flex play on a weekly basis down the stretch here. Like I said, weeks 13 through 17, he's going to be pretty good here. So another guy that I'm looking to go get on my teams that I don't need production immediately. He kind of fits into both categories because he's going to be consistent, but he's got a better schedule down the stretch than he does immediately. So my final target there. And like I said, there's two categories that I'm going over here because your trade priorities are different right now for your teams. You got, like I said, if you're sitting pretty in first, second, or third, you're looking a couple weeks down the stretch here. If you're like me in a couple leagues here, you're scrapping. You're in the middle. You're fighting for that top 6 spot. You're fighting for number 4, 5, 6. You're coming from the basement. You're coming from the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 spot. You're trying to punch your way through, and you need production immediately. You cannot take any losses. Every loss is just one more nail in the coffin, and you're trying to rise like the Undertaker and make your final push here for the playoffs. Like I said, we're halfway. You're running out of time. I did talk about him last week as well. DeAndre Swift is still in this category for me. This is getting a little bit more shaky because it's kind of been a 50-50 split with Monangai lately. Monangai's been looking good, but I still think that Swift is going to be the primary. Obviously, they lost the game this past week, so maybe they see that and they're like, let's just go back to feeding Swift. It worked 2 weeks ago. Let's keep it going. Let's feed Swift. He's still got 4+ matchups coming up here. The Chicago is going to get Cincinnati, smash start. New York Giants, good start for running backs. Minnesota Vikings, smash start for running backs. We just saw Kamani Vidal shred this defense on the ground. And then Pittsburgh in week 12. So 4 good matchups here coming up for Swift. He's got the volume. He's got the good matchups. He's got the juice right now that I think he's still a good buy. And you might be able to get him for a little bit cheaper. The buy high might not be so high right now, but if you need the points now, DeAndre Swift is still a screaming buy to me for those teams fighting from the basement. Go get DeAndre Swift. Another guy in a similar boat, Jaylen Warren. It is his backfield. He is still the number 1 option here in Pittsburgh. He's going to be worth the buy high. He's got another good set of matchups here as well. Pittsburgh, it's not a stretch of 4 in a row here for Pittsburgh, but it's still very much a good stretch. We got Indianapolis, we got the Chargers, and then we get Cincinnati, Chicago, Baltimore in week 14. There is a good chunk of games in there where Jaylen Warren has boom potential, and he's getting so much work that the floor is there. So you're not getting killed by him. He's not putting up zeros. You're going to get 8, 9, 10 points out of him as a floor, and then you can get 20 plus points with that, with the touchdown upside here. We know it's going to be Warren. It's going to be Warren. It's going to be Warren in all phases of the game. He's passed us by. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And he's got a healthy 12.6% target share. That's RB 11 on the year. It is a low volume offense, so that 12.6% is discounted a little bit. But if we're just looking at raw targets, he's RB 20 in raw targets, and that's with one missed game from an injury and a bye week in there. So if you factor that in, he's around the top 12 running backs in terms of raw targets on a per game basis as well. So he's heavily involved, and it's not just like he's one of those backs that's taken what the offensive line is giving him. He's RB7 in yards created per touch. He's got the wiggle. He's got the wiggle. He's got the volume. I'm getting very much Tony Pollard 2022, 2023 vibes from Jaylen Warren right now, where it's not the full, like he's not getting the crazy volume, but what he is getting, he's the primary back in this backfield. It's a low volume offense. So that's why it feels very similar in that respect in terms of the raw numbers. But I think Jaylen Warren is going to have a great stretch of games here down the stretch. You can't trust Steelers running backs. Why not? Why are we not trusting Jaylen Warren, who's getting 65% of the snaps? He's getting the bulk of the carries. He's getting the bulk of the pass targets. I got no problem trusting this Steelers running back. Tomlin does not like the committee, and he is making that clear once again. He is, like I said, he's Tony Pollard light. He's Najee Harris light. It's not pretty. You're not going to like watching it. I don't suggest watching it, but I fully trust Jaylen Warren moving forward. Like I said, he's been that dude. And like I said, the floor is not bad. We're getting like 8, 9, 10 points. It's not killing you level floor. It's not 2 points. It's not 3 points. It's not something where you're just sitting there like banging your head on the floor. MV Prof, you just gave me a heart. I was like, no way. But it's not like you're banging your head like for starting Jaylen Warren. You're getting a decent floor out of your RB2 flex spot. And then, like I said, the matchups are going to be there where he's going to have the opportunity. As soon as you think Warren will do well, it will be Gainwell game. And then you start Gainwell, it'll be the rookie. No, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push back against that. I don't believe that for a second. Here, wait, Baltimore fan, right? I see the bias creeping in. I trust Jaylen Warren. I'm riding Jaylen Warren. I'm going to go try to scoop him and trade for him now while the points haven't been there, and ride him down this stretch of games over the next 5-6 weeks to try to get me into the playoffs. And even the playoff schedule isn't bad. Miami, Detroit, and Cleveland week 16 and 17 is going to be gross. So not really looking forward to that. But week 1 of the playoffs is Miami. I'm trusting Jaylen Warren. You're saying classic Steelers watch? I'll watch, but I'm going to go ahead and watch Jaylen Warren be a consistent RB2 and go ahead and take me to the playoffs here. Like I said, week 16, 17, Detroit, Cleveland. I'll probably go ahead and be pivoting at that point because I ain't trusting anybody against those, no running back against those two teams. But until we get to that point, I'll be trusting Jaylen Warren here. Last guy that I got here for you today, and then I'll go ahead and let y'all get back to your Halloween prep. It's going to be Zay Flowers. I have been down on Zay Flowers every single phase of the season. Preseason fading, early season fading. Obviously week 1 I look like a fool, but then ever since then I've been kind of right. But I think that everything is going to come together perfectly here, and I think that he's still a buy low, and I think you're going to be happy if you go scoop him right now. As long as Lamar comes back next week, this will be the case. We need Lamar back for this Zay Flowers prophecy to come true. But if Lamar comes back, Flowers is going to boom. Week 9 might be a quiet start just because it'll be Lamar's first game back. But then after that, we're going to be looking at, like I said, week 9 against Miami might be a little bit quiet. They do pretty well against the Zay Flowers type of wide receiver. But then we get Minnesota, Cleveland, the Jets, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New England, who's not the best against like the middle of the field, middle of the field wide receivers, and then Green Bay to like that's eight solid games in a row here for Zay Flowers on a team that is going to be fighting. Like Zay Flowers is not only going to be scrapping for your fantasy team, he's scrapping for the Baltimore Ravens right now. And I think that Zay Flowers is going to be he's a league winning type wide receiver in my opinion right now. He's been 31% target share on the year. Zay Flowers, 31% target share on the year. That's without Lamar in there. We had to suffer through some ugly games with Cooper Rush. Snoop Huntley came in and was able to get this offense back to a recognizable Baltimore Ravens offense. But when Lamar was in weeks 1 through 4, 29% target share. It's the classic Zay Flowers. He just doesn't get the touchdown, so he doesn't have the boom weeks unless he can bring it in from outside the red zone. But I think that's going to be the case. We've seen the Baltimore Ravens defense is still beat up. It's still banged up. When Lamar comes back, there's going to be a lot of passing happening, and Zay Flowers with a 30% target share is going to get fed, and he's going to produce. He's been able to do it on his own. He's wide receiver one right now in juke rate, and that leads to wide receiver 6 in yak on the year. He's wide receiver 11 in terms of yards per route run. It's at a 2.4 level, which is amazing. That's well above the 2.0 threshold that we like to see from these high volume guys. That's kind of where you find your sweet spot of guys that are going to consistently produce. And Flowers is in that category. Go buy Zay Flowers. If you would have asked me, if you would have go ahead and gone back in time and asked me back in preseason, would I be saying to go trade for Zay Flowers halfway through? I'd be saying, hell no. Here we are. It's Halloween week. No tricks on this one. This is only going to give you a treat. This is going to be a king size candy bar going and trading for Zay Flowers. If you got him, hold him, plug him in as soon as Lamar is back, because it's going to be good here. Zay Flowers, I'm calling it now, league winning wide receiver. It's going to happen. Can't trust the Ravens right now either, Alex. I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with you again. You are once again, the bias is creeping in. You're saying I got flu-like symptoms, cloud in the brain. You got the AFC North flu right now. That division's wide open, and the Ravens, Lamar's going to come back, and you guys are it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. MV Prof, last question here before I sign off. We got, which defense should you snag on waivers? You got Green Bay versus Carolina, the Chargers versus Tennessee, or Detroit versus Minnesota. I like all three of those. Honestly. I would probably prioritize. I'd prioritize the Chargers over Tennessee. Chargers over Tennessee, then probably Detroit against Minnesota with McCarthy coming back. Yeah, I'd probably go Chargers, Detroit, Green Bay on the priority there. I think that Carolina is it might be another Andy Dalton week, so maybe that does make me want to maybe go Green Bay. So Chargers, Green Bay, Detroit would be the order that I would go. I think Detroit's defense is getting healthier, so I think that they will be a weekly start, like you're saying here, Alex. But they do. I mean, they go from Minnesota this week, which is good. But then they're going to Washington with a healthy Jaden Daniels, and then they got Philadelphia after that. Then they get the Giants, which is good. Green Bay at home, but then they got Dallas, Rams. There's a lot of tough matchups there, and I just feel like the Detroit defense is good, but they're inconsistent. We've seen them give up points before, so I still stick with what I'm staying here. All their tough matchups are at home, which is a plus at the end of the season. So I think if you're going for points this week, if you're just looking to keep the weekly stream going, I'm going Chargers, Green Bay, Detroit. That's where I'm going. That's all I got today, though, guys. I appreciate you so much for coming back. I apologize once again for missing last Thursday, but I appreciate you guys not ditching me, not ghosting me, coming back to me on Tuesday here. I love seeing the chat blow up with you, Alex, Prof, Happy Hudson out there. I appreciate you guys as always. We got the Thursday start sit stream coming up, which is my favorite one of the week. As always, make sure that you are subscribed to the Player Profiler Now Plus channel on YouTube. Make sure that you're liking all these videos so that way I can keep doing what I'm doing here with you guys every Tuesday and Thursday. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at X, whatever you want to call it, at JOwens_FF. Also on TikTok, like I said, been ramping up the content over there. That is going to be at JOwensFF, no underscore over there. And I am still doing the Sunday live throne room reaction show every single Sunday. I know a lot of you guys not TikTok people, but if you know people that are TikTok people, send them my way over there. It's been a fun show the past couple weeks. Looking to keep that rolling on Sunday night during halftime of the Sunday night football game. But that is all for me. I appreciate you guys bringing on the tricks and the treats here. Alex, appreciate you for asking me to feel better. Thank you. Thank you. I will catch you guys on Thursday as long as I did not kill my voice today. Catch y'all later.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.